Geoffrey looked to his right, where the ground rose to a wooden pavilion. He pictured the nervous opening batsmen making their way to the middle to be met by a barrage from the opening bowlers of Bearwood Hall. Only a few weeks earlier, he had himself gone in on a damp morning at Guildford to face Alf Gover and his brother-in-law Eddie Watts of Surrey. He had made only 12 and had been hit painfully on the forearm. He had no idea whether his knowledge of rugby and cricket would make him a good coach, but it could scarcely be difficult to motivate a group of energetic small boys. There were wood pigeons and some noisy blackbirds in the trees that fringed a small football pitch behind him. Generations came and went in places like this, Geoffrey thought. They flickered through the huge front door with its iron bolts and bars, each new boy gripped by the conviction that he was alone in such straits, deprived of mother and home, beset by rules he didn't understand, hoping the next hour might bring relief from new sensations. It must be hard for a child to believe that his experience, far from being unique, would in time dwindle into something no longer even individual, as his tears were taken up into the clouds. Geoffrey liked poetry, and had a secret ambition to write verses in the style of Rupert Brooke, but he had never shown his undergraduate efforts to anyone, not even the fellow members of the Marvel, a weekly reading society. A light wind blew as he set off back to the school to have tea. Walking along the crazy paved path towards the terrace, he felt apprehensive at the thought of meeting experienced members of his new profession. He pushed open the tall double oak doors of the dining hall and saw one of the 2 long trestles partly laid up with a red gingham cloth. There was no one else there. Geoffrey went in and sat down on an inconspicuous chair. Through swing doors from a kitchen came a woman in blue overalls with wild hair. She carried a plate that she set down in front of him without speaking. It had 2 warm sardines on a half slice of toast. She reached over and lifted the teapot to pour him a cupful of deep chestnut brown. Geoffrey, who was hungry after his journey up from Hampshire, disposed of the sardines quickly, wondering if he might need something else to eat later in the evening. As he was preparing to leave, the double doors swung open, and a bald man in tweeds and brown brogues with thick rubber welts rolled into the room. He held out his hand and introduced himself. "Gerald Baxter, Classics and Under-11 Cricket." The maid brought his sardines. "Thank you, Elsie," Baxter said. When she had gone back into the kitchen, he lowered his voice. "They get them from the bin. You probably saw it when you came from the station. The old county asylum. They're all quite harmless. Apart from one who fell in love with the maths master and tried to stab him with the ceremonial sword above the fireplace. Before my time, though. Do you want to come to the pub?" "Is that allowed?" Baxter smiled. He had yellowing teeth and one gruesome canine coloured almost black. "Old Ma Little warn you off, did she?" "No, it's perfectly all right. Just not meant to go to the Hare and Hounds in case we bump into Long John. Doesn't booze with other ranks." "Long John?" "The head. After Long John Silver." Baxter covered one eye piratically. The Whitby Arms was a 15-minute walk downhill. The saloon bar was a large, featureless room with a few coloured photographs of vintage cars and a small coke fire. Through the servery, Geoffrey could glimpse a dim public bar where men in caps were drinking flat, dark beer. He could see why Mr. Little might have preferred the Hare and Hounds with its bottle-bottom windows and coloured lights. "Done any teaching before?" "No, it's my first job." "Not a bad life, especially if you have a private income." "I'm afraid I haven't." "Nor have I," said Baxter. "A word of advice. Don't try and become head of department or any of that nonsense. Then your life is all timetables and meetings. Stay a foot soldier. Teach the little buggers and knock off promptly when the bell goes. I'll have the other half if you twist my arm." Although Baxter insisted on drinking only half pints, he managed to dispose of a dozen in 2 hours, most of which Geoffrey bought for him. "Still your round, I think, Talbot. Just a freshener."